Hey guys, this is Chris with Rekkid Talk, and so what's been going around, a lot of people have been making videos over the past week or so about the 10 records you've listened to the most. Now, one of the things that Sean mentioned, Sean of Many Names mentioned in his video is it the top, the 10 albums you're listening to the most in the past or listening to right now? And I decided that I wanted to focus mine on the past to be a little bit different than a lot of people's, so I'm not necessarily talking about records that I talk about a lot in other videos. So I'm going to do the top 10 albums I listened to in my 1983 Chevy Citation. I always point the wrong way. So, and that's a stock photo I found on the internet because I didn't have a cell phone back. I had an '83 Chevy Citation from basically I think about 1988 through 1994. So that basically covered my undergraduate years and a few of the years afterwards. And so I had a cassette player inside there, so I'm going to be showing you cassettes today. These are all basically going to be stuff from the 70s and 80s. I guess one goes back to the 1960s. And some of this stuff I've gotten on other formats, CD or vinyl, since then. A few of them I have not. And another thing that's sort of a cutoff is right around, I think, late 89 or early 1990 is when I got a CD player and I started buying mostly CDs. And it was still a few years before I got the Sony Discman with the little cassette hookup. So these are all actual cassettes I'm going to show. I'm going to go in what I believe is going to be chronological order of the release of these. So the first one we're going to go with is Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? And so from 1967, there you go. I think most of us know this. You've got Purple Haze and Hey Joe and Manic Depression and Fire, Foxy Lady, Are You Experienced? And so, pretty much everybody knows about Jimi Hendrix, so not a lot to say there. I do have this on vinyl. It's not something I listen to nearly as much as I used to. Another one, this one's from 1980, AC/DC, Back in Black. And this is actually the only AC/DC album I currently own. I have it on vinyl as well, but this is my original cassette version. And so, again, this is an album that most of you that are viewers would know. I'm still kind of the opinion, and this was sort of bolstered because there was a period where I lived with a guy who was an AC/DC completionist, and I never really felt. I guess I could see having one Brian Johnson era album and one Bon Scott era album, but I don't really see the need to be completist for AC/DC. My controversial pick for those of you that are regular viewers is Def Leppard Pyromania. You'll notice that the cassette is actually missing. You might be wondering, did the Def Leppard Pyromania meet the same fate as my Hysteria cassette? And I actually have to say that no, it did not. This just got lost at some point, but for some reason, I still have the inlay card and the box. There'll be one later that is basically sort of an opposite scenario. And so, um, basically, I kind of cut off. Def Leppard lost me after this. I did have the Hysteria cassette, but wasn't into it. So, then of course, I could have picked one of several Van Halen records, going with 1984, which is one that I actually don't have on vinyl. I don't have Pyromania on vinyl either. I don't have any Def Leppard on vinyl. I have some Van Halen's on vinyl. 1984, so of course you got Jump and Panama and Hot for Teacher. And mine's a little bit grody looking. Uh, Looking at the cassette leader, it's kind of twisted up. So I don't know if this one would actually play. I do have this on CD if I want to listen to it. And then, okay, so I actually messed up the chronological order, but going kind of away from the hard rock aspect, going maybe a bit more alternative. We'll do the Violent Femmes original album. The Gunkles, they did their ranking the Violent Femmes records, and almost everybody except Craig rated this as number one. Craig's actually the biggest Femmes fans of them all. He actually found another one to rank as number one. You can see mine is so faded off you basically can't read the names of the songs on side one. So yeah, I listened to Blister in the Sun and Added Up and Kiss Off and the like a lot. In Excess, this has always been my favorite In Excess album. This is one of the ones I have in the triple formats if you ever get asked to do that. But again, this would be the first one that I had. Listen Like Thieves. What You Need, Listen Like Thieves, Kiss the Dirt. Biting Bullets this time. I mean, I can still remember most of these songs. And it's not like most of these are things that I probably maybe listen to once a year at the most. Probably the next thing I'm going to go into is a couple of well-known English groups. These were ones that I wasn't listening to in high school, which for me would be the mid to late 80s. But these are ones that I discovered in college. And so I'm actually going to be showing a couple of compilations because this was kind of my entry point into these groups. And so we have the Smiths, Louder Than Bombs. And so this is packed with all sorts of Smith songs on them. And of course, Smith songs obviously have very memorable lyrics, very memorable riffs, both in terms of the guitar work and the bass work. I had a fairly recent video about the Smiths. Barbarism Begins at Home being my all-time favorite Smiths song. But the thing about the Smiths is that for some reason I never felt the urge to go and check out their individual albums. I don't have anything by them on vinyl. I have a different compilation of theirs on CD. And sort of the opposite of that is going to be The Cure. So I have Standing on a Beach, the singles, the A-sides, and then if you have it on cassette, you've got the B-sides on the other side. If you had the CD, you didn't get the B-sides with the CD. And so this was sort of my entree point into The Cure. And then, unlike the Smiths, I pretty much went back and bought everything in their catalog. The record store in my college town, I got a lot of used Cure tapes there, getting Boys Don't Cry in 17 Seconds, Hit on the Door, and all that sort of stuff. And then following along in real time through Disintegration and Wish and the like. And this is one of those ones where I don't know what happened to the inlay card for it. The one hip-hop album, the hip-hop album I've listened to the most in my life would be Public Enemy. It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. And so, Chuck D's All Serious, Flava Flav, Not So Much. Black Steel and the Hour of Chaos. In particular, that's the song I remember the most from this. I have a different Public Enemy on vinyl. This is one I would like to get on vinyl, but for whatever reason I haven't yet. And then to get a little bit more mellow, so now one of the things that I have a lot of, that I listen to a lot of, would be various dubs of different sorts of stuff, and I've completely lost my focus here. But anyway, the classic legend Bob Marley. So most people in the world, if they own exactly one reggae record. This is the one they own. Bob Marley and the Wailers Legend. We've got the nice fuzzy filter going on. My camera doesn't want to autofocus properly. And so I kind of got introduced to reggae. I taped some stuff off a show on a public radio station. This is probably the first reggae record I bought. I now have actually some proper Bob Marley records and some other stuff as well, even though I wouldn't say reggae is one of my normal things to listen to. So those are basically my top 10 albums that I listened to in my 1983 Chevy Citation.